Hey, everybody. Amie Pederson here with the Moms Making Money Show. I have a very special guest today, and she has a very special story to share with us, and I'm super excited for it. She's also got a great free gift for us. So if you're jumping on live, feel free to post your questions. Feel free to say hi, say where you're from. And if you're catching the replay, just go ahead and click replay. And like always, this season of the Moms Making Money Show is really all about confidence. It's to help you guys if you're stuck in a place and you have that self-doubt, you have some fears that have crept up on you, to really know that it's actually, everybody's gone through that. It's pretty normal. Even though everybody's fears and self-doubt are typically unique to their situation and to themselves and to their own limiting beliefs, it seems to be a pretty normal trend. So I want to introduce my friend Karrie.
Hello.
She's going to tell us a little bit about herself. She started off her journey as a young adult, as a teenager out of high school, as a fitness coach. And if you can imagine, it wasn't exactly what all of her friends were doing at the time. So with that came a touch of resistance and a touch of not quite knowing what the heck she was up to. So Karrie, take it away and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. She said, I basically started my business pretty young. I, originally went to college, kind of like everyone else was doing for the first year. And I was going to be an athletic trainer, but then I kind of had, some resistance while in school. And I was like, what do I want to do? I was really confused. I thought about, going into the Navy. My dad was in the Marine Corps for 22 years. So, that was definitely a route for me. But I ended up moving to Vegas to kind of pursue physical therapy instead. And while I was in Vegas, my dad was actually in a dirt bike accident. And so the dirt bike accident was pretty severe. He actually broke his neck, his C1, if any of you guys are familiar with that. He completely shattered it into 6 different pieces. So with that came a lot of surgeries, recoveries, stuff like that. And he needed someone essentially to be a full-time caretaker. My mom works for a nonprofit as an executive director. She works 60 hours a week. And my brother was only 16. My sister has a family. So I was really the only one who was able to kind of move home to kind of help take care of him. And at that point, I really was like, okay, well, I don't just want to live off of my parents. They were obviously willing to not make me pay rent and to pay for my bills and stuff like that because I was doing this. But I was like, nah, that's not for me. So I was like, how can I kind of create an income where I would have a flexible schedule, right? And at the time, I just kind of gotten into fitness and working out, and I saw people creating these online businesses around being online fitness coaches. And I was like, this is really interesting. The fact that people can make their own schedule in the gym if they want to do, in-person stuff or online and just work from wherever, that was just really appealing to me. Right. So I got my personal training certification and I moved home. And I was working part-time in the gym doing some stuff, training in-person clients and then trying to make this business happen online. And, while I'm trying to make this business happen online, I'm taking care of my dad, I'm doing things around the house. But I was really, really putting a lot of effort in because it was growing pretty quickly. And so I was like, oh, this is amazing. And, as my dad was getting better, I was doing more stuff online. And the business grew very, very fast, just using Facebook marketing strategies. Obviously, as a teenager at 19, I was like, I'm into all of this, right? All of the social media is I was just this is amazing. This is so much fun. But what I quickly realized as I was, getting 1 year into it, 2 years into it, because I'm 22 now, so I've been in the online space for 3 years. I was like, wow, this is actually really draining too, because I wasn't setting up the proper boundaries for myself, and I wasn't really honoring myself. As we kind of grow, your business will shift. It's just natural, not how it goes. And as I was growing with my business, I was kind of just resisting that. And I was like, no, what I'm doing right here is comfortable. This is making me money. I have a good amount of clients. And so I don't really want to I don't want to shift. I just want to stay here where it's comfortable. I don't want to take any new risks. And, every time I lost a client, I would freak out. I would get super anxious, and I would just be like, no, I don't want to lose anyone. So then I would offer someone a super low, discounted price, $50 for a month of workout plans and nutrition. And at that point, I had so many clients not paying me enough to where I was getting super burnt out. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. And as I was getting burnt out, my passion was my burnout was going like this and my passion was going like this. It started to really shift. And so I eventually quit my business all along. I was like, I'm just going to drop it. I'm not taking any more clients. And it just kind of faded out because I wasn't wanting to put in the effort to serve them. I wasn't showing up for them. And then essentially I got a job working for another fitness entrepreneur, and I was, kind of like just working as her assistant, doing a lot of content creation and stuff. And she started a business coaching program, and I was kind of helping her out with like inserting the content here and there. And I was learning a lot about the program. And she was like, well, do you want to like add some extra support, potentially be a coach? And I was like, yes, like this is amazing. And so that's kind of how I've made the shift to where I am now as a business and lifestyle coach, kind of helping other coaches prevent this like dramatic downfall that could potentially be their business if they don't start honoring themselves and, healing that burnout hustle effect.
Right. I'm guilty of that myself, being a mom and a wife and a business owner, because I also own another business. All I was doing was like pouring all my effort, all my energy into everything else. And at the end of the day, I was like, I had nothing left. I was exhausted. I was tired. I was, starting to become a little bit resentful. And I finally, like, especially like this week, I've done like something self-care every single day. I got my hair done. I've been to the gym twice. Like, I've done something every single day. Like, I even put on makeup today, so it's a real thing. And I think that, it kind of, you can relate it back probably to the feeling of you get started in a job and you really like it for a while. And then eventually like Monday rolls around and you're like, oh, I got to go to work today. Then Tuesday rolls around and you're like, is it Friday yet? Because even though you might have been really excited about it when, especially when we're younger, probably, and we don't necessarily know what we want to do when we grow up. It sounds like you've got it pretty well figured out. I just figured it out like in the last like year, and I'm 36, right? So, but you just get to the point where you're just like, oh, and you forget that, oh my God, I used to love this so, so much. Even the same as this, with like a workout routine. I used to love doing a certain workout that I could do from home. And now I'm like, I can't even bring myself to walk out into my home gym and do it. I'm just like, nope, I got to try something different. So I joined a studio and I'm doing something different. We had a couple girlies hop in. Julie says, hi, Karrie and Amie. Brandy says, good morning. Good morning, girls. Feel free to ask your questions as we get going.
I think it's really interesting too that you mentioned that, because a lot of people, when they get into like being an entrepreneur, they do it because they want the entrepreneur lifestyle. And that's what my coaching is actually called, because people get into it like assuming they're going to have all of this freedom and like time freedom, financial freedom, energy, space, like those types of things. And then they're like, get into this, like somehow this disconnect happens where they get into this mental shift where it's like, oh, I have to hustle 24/7 to be an entrepreneur, or I feel guilty. Like I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm not going to get the clients I deserve. And like, that's so not true. But because I feel like, especially in this like generation, like that's all anyone talks about. It's like super masculine energy where it's like, I have to hustle 24/7 to like make this happen. And so people really need to take a step back and be like, and is what I'm even doing like benefiting me? Or are you like burning yourself out? Or are you just like running your wheels? Because a lot of it's just like busy is not a badge of honor. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jenna Kutcher, but that's what something she says a lot is like busy isn't a badge of honor. And I feel like more people need to like realize that when they're doing things. Like, are you actually doing something that's productive, or are you just being busy to be busy so you feel better?
Well, and I think a lot of people too, they don't, especially when they're starting out, because everybody who starts out, probably I'd say 99% of people who start out, they start out with this thought that I can do this on my own. I don't need to hire a coach. I don't need to hire a mentor. I don't need to do this personal development or this mindset stuff. I'm guilty of doing that myself. Totally guilty. Now I do all of those things. I have a coach. I do the mindset work, multiple coaches, whatever it is that I need. And it's super funny the way this conversation is going. I did a live just the other day talking about the difference between hustle and flow in your business. And like hustling is like all the things that you think you should be doing, right? Because somebody else is doing it. Your upline is doing it. Your mentor is doing it. Somebody told you you should be doing this. And in order to get to that next level, you have to do all these things. Well, I've learned that sometimes that hustle doesn't feel good. That hustle leads you quicker to burnout because you stop doing the things like the self-care things, and your pleasure tank goes from pretty well full to like a plummet, like, and then you're empty, and it's so true, that saying that you can't serve from an empty cup. Yeah. And until your cup is pretty well empty, you don't really get it, right? So being in flow and being in alignment and coming from a place that just feels good, totally different. Things flow quicker. And when you light some of those rules on fire, like, okay, I don't have to have a funnel. I don't have to have a perfect website. Like, and I did this all wrong. I hired somebody, I got my website up and running, and now I'm kind of like, oh, I didn't need to even do all of that, because even like my coach, she's like, she made $500,000 last year, and she didn't even have a website up most of the year. It was under construction, and so it's like, okay, so she should have technically had a website up if you went by all of the what you're supposed to do stuff, but she didn't, and she totally made it work. Like, she completely made it work, and she did a stellar job at making it work, because that's what felt good to her. She just followed her heart, followed her energy, like, and not to get all woo-woo on all you guys, but if you're excited about something, that means you're energetically behind it. If you're forcing it, you're not. It's not in alignment for you.
Yeah.
So I think that's exactly what Karrie's trying to get at, is knowing the difference and understanding that you don't have to do all of the things that you think you should do or that someone else has done, because that's just not the way it works. I mean,
and it's really about balance, right? Because it's that balance between that like masculine energy, which is like hustle 24/7 and get shit done, because it is like a super important, like you have to be able to hustle in the beginning and like in a way to like get clients and, put yourself in front of people, get uncomfortable, like those types of aspects. But also like it's the balance between that like masculine energy and then feminine energy, which is like that woo-woo, like make sure you're in alignment, make sure you feel good, like self-care, like taking care of yourself. So it's really finding that balance that works for you, because for me, like that woo part and like self-care is I have schedules, I have boundaries, like I have like very like specific intentions with my day. So that way I'm not burning out myself. But that hustle part is like, if I have to get up at 3 a.m. for a meeting because one of my clients is in like a different country, like I'm going to get up at 3 a.m. for that meeting, because like you have to hustle to make your client happy and like those types of things, So like that's how it kind of works when it's like keeping those things in balance with your business,
Right. But getting up even at 3 o'clock in the morning to meet with your client, or even like for us, we had a scheduled time that we were going to be together on this show. It's a little bit different than like, crap, it's Monday morning and I've got to be at the office in 15 minutes. I haven't even brushed my hair yet. It's different because it's like, we're so excited to share our message. We're so excited to be on the phone with that person in Australia at 3 o'clock in the morning, because they're making such great progress with their business, with their mindset, with their life. It's like, it all kind of ties together. Once you get your mind right, whether it's just in business, it helps you be, a better wife, a better girlfriend, a better mother, a better friend, like just all around in general. And it takes kind of going through it before you ever realize like, oh, all of this like personal growth stuff and self-care stuff, there's something to it. And that's why the most successful people, that top 1%, that's why they do it without fail.
Yeah. And it's funny because you mentioned that too, because when I first started, I had none of that, right? I was just 19, fresh raised baby. I was like, oh, I can make a business out of this? Cool. Like, I had no idea. And so I was just like, all right, just jump feet first. Like, let's get this going. And then as I was kind of making that shift and seeing that resentment happen, I was noticing what other people had, but I fought that. Like, I was like, I don't need a business coach. Like, I'm only 19. Like, I'll just do it on my own. Like, maybe when I think I deserve one, or maybe when I think I've reached this level, like I can go ahead and hire someone or something like that. Now I'm a business coach, but I also have 3 business coaches of my own. I have a team of people. I've like, it's funny, I'm actually bringing my mom on to work for me. Like I have like, I have a VA, I have a bookkeeper, like I have all these like people supporting me now. And if I would have had that back then, like things would have flowed a lot easier rather than feeling like I had to like DIY everything myself almost.
Right. And I think for a lot of people, we come into it, and like for myself especially, so I can really only speak for myself, but I'm a control freak when it comes to that stuff. Like, like I can't turn over my accounting. I can't turn over this. Like, what if somebody sends out the wrong email? Right. But then you just have to like, okay, what's the worst that'll happen? You go back and fix it. It's no big deal. And then it starts to get smoother, and then you realize like, oh my goodness, having somebody to post on my Instagram for me is such a blessing. Like, it's the best thing ever. It's somebody, or even like a lot of women tell me like, I just want to make enough money to help me cover having a housekeeper. Right. That in itself, like, somebody who's got an active lifestyle, who homeschools their kid, who's trying to get their business up and running, and they're still in that work stage where you do have to hustle a little bit to get things set up and implemented and just get yourself organized, if nothing else. It's kind of nice that you don't have to worry about like, when is the toilet going to get scrubbed? Like, especially if you have little kids who pee on the floor, it's like a whole, that's what I think a lot of people get attracted to. Like you said, is they see the lifestyle of it, but they usually see somebody's like chapter 15 or chapter 20. They don't see what happened in chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, when it was like, okay, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm confused. I'm, like pulling my hair out. I haven't brushed my hair in a week. All that stuff they don't see. They only see, the highlight reel essentially. And not to say that, those first few chapters aren't good, because they're definitely, if you come at it from the right space, they're definitely educational. Like, you learn so much. You learn like, this is what I really like to do. This is what really works for me. This is what doesn't work for me. And this is what I really don't like to do. Those types of things.
Yeah, I feel like you said, people get, interested in the like entrepreneurial life because of those like freedom aspects, like freedom to hire a housekeeper to help out, or like freedom to, homeschool your kids, and, freedom to take your kids traveling whenever you want, because they are homeschooled and you can afford to go and travel. One of my clients right now, she's a stay-at-home mom, and she was like, if I put my daughter like in a Spanish class, like I want to be like, okay, well, let's go to Spain for a month and like get some real life like education from it. And that's something that she was like so pulled towards. But yeah, like you said, I was like, hey, like that's totally awesome. That can like happen. And like in the beginning, like we just have to put things in place to set you up for success. So right. I feel like not enough people, and this is something I'm trying to like emulate myself, but not enough people are, putting those like showing kind of how that was in the beginning, and really being honest with people and being like, you're probably not going to be making a 6-figure income in the first month. Like, too many people are like making all these like big giant promises instead of like kind of explaining to people really how the process goes. Like, not to say that it can't happen, because it totally can.
Right.
But it's not the normal. And so you're going to have to hustle a little bit in the beginning to like be like, okay, well, these are my prices, and I'm just going to go out and I'm going to talk to people and network, and I'm going to try to get clients, and I'm just going to try to make a full-time income in the first couple months, like rather than being like, I'm going to go to multiple 6 figures and blah, blah, you know what I mean? Like, they have to be like, you have to set high expectations for yourself, but realistic ones, so that way you're not living in that like self-doubt when that doesn't happen.
Right, exactly, absolutely. And, self-doubt, even if you're a well-seasoned pro, even if you're earning 7 figures, right, it's still going to creep in. It's just how you've trained yourself to talk to yourself, the self-talk. It's all about that. Like, okay, is this the truth? Are these things really going to happen? Whatever it is that you're telling yourself. And then you can kind of like talk yourself off the ledge a little bit. But in the beginning, you let those things like consume you and take over your whole like thought. And it's been my experience that a lot of people never actually start. Like, they get all this stuff together, they put out all this, maybe not a ton of money, but they'll go and they'll buy a domain name, and they'll invest in like a product, if they're MLM or something like that. They'll come up with a service they want to provide, whatever it is that they're trying to start. And then somebody will get in their ear, or self-doubt will creep in. You may have experienced it, like, oh, I'm only 19. What am I doing here? Or like, even like, not so much with the age factor, but like, I've never actually used this process or this product to ever help anybody before other than myself, which then they get that kind of like imposter syndrome type of thing.
Okay.
And all those things, I feel like, stop so many people. And then those who do get started, is like we talked about a little bit, which will kind of bring us into your freebie, is they burn themselves out because they just go full-fledged what they think is in the right direction, and they're completely out of alignment, completely off their self-care, and it doesn't feel good, and they're just struggling to force themselves to do the things.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that too, because it's something we had mentioned. But like, when I was 19 and I got into like the online space, people would like ask me what I did, and I was like almost embarrassed to tell them, because I was scared that they were going to judge me. Like, I was scared they were going to be like, you can't make a business out of that. Like, you're only 19. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, yada, yada, yada. All of my friends are in college, right? Because I'm 19, the second year out of high school. And it's funny because that translated to when I was 22. Even though I thought that I'd kind of overcome those like mindset boundaries and blocks, at 22, when people asked me when I first started doing this, I was so terrified to tell them that I was a business coach, right? Because I'm 22 years old. What the hell do I know? Like, I've been in business 3 years. And that's what I was projecting onto people. That's what I thought that they were going to say to me rather than be supportive. And so I was almost like, I just kind of help people, like I was so nervous. I was so nervous. And I feel like that translates into sales calls, that translates into any time you have an interaction with someone, because like those like feelings that you have, those kind of, shift your thoughts, and those thoughts shift your actions. So like, if you can't get all of those like in line with each other, like it makes it like a really huge obstacle to overcome. And that like self-doubt is huge for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, getting through that, and it takes work. Like it takes and that's the best part about, I think, having a coach, is because sometimes you let the self-doubt control your thoughts, which will control your business and all your actions. But sometimes when you have a coach, or, somebody who's in your corner, or like a mentor or somebody, or even like a community of like-minded people, you can put it out there and they'll be like, well, actually, you've done this, 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 and this. What are you talking about? You've never helped anybody. Like, look at all these things that you've actually accomplished. You're already so good at all these things. Like, what do you mean that that you're afraid that you've never, had the experience or done these things or whatever? And I feel like a lot of people don't actually they don't realize that they've already done so much. And, but I mean, on the flip side, there are people who are like, I made, $600,000 in my first week at business, and it's just not the truth. So there is that too, but
fine line. But I think it's important, and this is why coaches like me as a business coach, and other people, like, this is why coaches have coaches, right? Someone to keep you in check, someone to keep you accountable, because we're human. Like, we all have these human emotions that are running, especially like, I feel like as women, just because of like how society, like views women, and like other things that are just kind of brought up through like society and growing up, like tend to self-doubt ourselves if we're starting to get into like a more masculine dominated field, which business is, especially like just, you can just tell, like, a lot of guys just have that masculine hustle energy. And so that's what girls are trying to shift into it initially when getting into the online space. But having a business coach to be like, okay, pull the reins back, like take a step back, hold you accountable for like taking care of yourself and just kind of checking you when you need it is so, so important. Like having this outside perspective almost.
Absolutely. And it's so funny that you talk about how women are trying to step into that masculine flow, that masculine energy. I totally did that. In my corporate career, I did business mentoring in like power line construction. So it probably doesn't get a whole lot more masculine than that. Yeah. And my boss was like he would like, there was no sense of procrastination ever. And don't get me wrong, I totally love the guy, right? But he always had such a high sense of urgency, like everything was right now. And over time, we spent pretty much every day together for 13 years. You pick that up, you pick up that hustle. And so when I first got started, I had that everything needs to be happening right now. And I didn't allow things to just flow. I was like, I have to do it. I have to do it now. It has to be right. It has to be perfect. Like, you always do it right the first time. Like, I had that whole, and, I never really realized that it was, because that's how I was taught. And I was always trying to outwork, the men in my space, like trying to prove like, oh yeah, I might be a chick, but I can do this and I can do it just as good, if not better than anybody else. And so I was a hustler. I was a multitasker, all that kind of stuff. And now it's like, okay, now I have to set aside all this multitasking. I need a quiet space to focus and to feel into things. I never felt anything, like I never took a minute to like feel into, construction work or tools or spreadsheets or financial statements, like those I never was feeling about those. But the feeling I have about helping other women find their confidence, empowering other women, helping them take those first steps in their business, for even like for you, helping them, obviously take those first steps in their business as well and get them growing and get them thinking and get all the wheels turning in a different direction that really serves them, that they can really get behind and feel good about. And yes, then they can start to have that life of freedom. They can start to have a business that really feels good to them, where they get up and they're like, today I'm just going to go talk about da, 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 da. And it could be Sunday. It could be 6 o'clock Monday morning. And it just feels good. So they go and do it because they get to make their own rules. And I feel like, you know, coming from that masculine space, it was hard for me to allow myself to just do what I wanted and make my own rules. I felt like it had to be rigid. And I think a lot of people start off that way.
Yeah, I mean, I did too. And I think for me, it was, you know, grew up with my stepdad being in the Marine Corps. Like that military energy is so masculine, especially the Marine Corps, very masculine energy. And so that's kind of what I had known my whole life. And so when I first started my business, that's just how I thought it was supposed to be. Like, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And you never do, right? You're just kind of like, this is it. This is it. This is how it goes. Like, I'm just doing what everyone else is doing. But it always takes just like that. Once you push yourself a little too far for you to be like, oh my gosh, you realize it really quickly when it is happening, that you're like, something is off. Something doesn't feel right. Like, this doesn't feel good. Like, what can I do to make this feel better? And for me, I didn't figure that out. I dropped my business completely. I was like, nope, I don't even want to do this anymore. Like, it didn't feel that good to where I was just like, absolutely not. And then as I started getting into the business world with, you know, like working for like another fitness entrepreneur, she was like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Lewis House, but she was in his mastermind and she was like talking to me about things. And I was like, duh, like now it's finally clicking that, like, you know, if your hustle and your like energy output is up here, but your energy input is down here, like, of course things aren't going to feel good. So it's all about balancing that energy out versus energy in. And like, there are little things that you can do every day to fill your cup. Like for me, it's taking my dog outside for a walk, or reading a book, or listening to a podcast, or just taking a nap if I want to take a nap, you know. And it looks different for everyone, like getting your hair done, getting your nails done. But there's different ways to kind of add play into your life to make that energy out and energy in more balanced.
Right. And a lot of times too, like next, what month is it? It's still March. In June, we're gonna have a gal come on, and she's from Australia. She's gonna talk to us. Like, she's an intuitive eating coach, and one of the things that she talks about a lot too is along these same lines. I think a lot of this, it's all relative, right? So like, she talks about your pleasure cup being empty too. So if your pleasure cup is empty, so this is applicable to business, but it's also applicable to weight loss. If you're always miserable, or you're not getting any pleasure, and you're not going out and doing anything for fun, you're not, you know, having a good time with your girlfriends, you're not going to Disneyland, you're not going on date nights with your boyfriend or your husband or whatever, then it's so much easier for you to be stuck in your emotional eating, right? Oh, Julie says yes for naps.
Yes.
But it's so easy to get stuck in that emotional eating. And so the same is kind of like for business. If you're not in a state, like I said, of, you know, serving from a full cup and your cup is empty, then you're going to have a different type of energy when it comes to delivering your message. Or maybe you're not clear on your message, and so then it feels forced. But the same thing is kind of like on a diet. Maybe you're not energetically behind a specific kind of diet, you know, like only eating lettuce for 3 weeks or whatever it is, and you feel deprived and you're feeling like you have to force it and you have to force down the food and you're not liking it, you're not loving it, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same thing, you know, that she talks about, is getting behind the things that you love, doing things that you love, even outside of the business. Julie says, I have a lot of feelings that I eat. But when we're not fulfilling, you know, the various cups, especially that pleasure cup in our life, that's going to send you straight to burnout, whether it's burnout on your diet or burnout in your business or anything. So why don't you tell us a little bit? I know you have this really great gift for us. Tell us a little bit about that. We're going to post it in the comments below, you guys. And so you'll be able to pick that up but at the end of the broadcast. And Karrie's going to tell us a little bit more about what her gift is for us. It's excellent.
Yes. So when it comes to filling up your cup, something I like fully believe in, and this is in, like, I would say almost every self-help book and like all of those things, is to really like start off your day really powerfully. And what I mean by this is setting yourself up for success by having a really powerful morning routine. Now, I know if you guys are moms, like, it can seem really daunting to have a morning routine because you have 700 like million things on your plate. And you're just like, okay, well, how the hell am I going to do this, Karrie? Like, please explain. And let me tell you. So essentially what I've done is I've created an ebook that teaches you how to create your morning routine in like 4 simple steps. In the ebook, it also has my personal morning routine, which is just used as kind of like a guideline. Obviously I'm a dog mom. I'm not an actual mom. So like props to every mom out there, because taking care of my pup is enough for me right now.
Right.
But I know that like, moms this is hardest for that like demographic, because like you are so focused on everyone else around you that it's easy to forget yourself, and it's easy to not fill up that cup for you.
Guilty.
And so what I've done is I've just created this ebook that teaches you how to implement 4 simple steps to create a morning routine that doesn't have to be super long. It doesn't have to be super insane. Doesn't need to be like this 10-step process, because it's not realistic for a lot of people. And if your energy is not behind it, you're not going to stick with it, and it's not going to benefit you. So yeah, I just created like 4 simple steps to creating a morning routine.
Perfect. Okay, you guys. So we're going to post that in the comments, and if it will let us, we'll pin them to the top. If not, when we do, I'll also pull it and put it up in the top so it's easy for you guys to grab. And I'm super excited I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do it. Since I am that mom who the first thing I do in the morning when I get up is deal with like boogers and those types of things and shuffling, the bigger one off to preschool, a couple days. And it's a real life thing that the first thing you think of is, what do I got to do for you? And what have I got to do for you? And I've got to let the dog out, and I got to let the dog back in, and the cat's hungry. And not everybody's like me, and we don't always live on like an entire whole farm, but it's still true to life. Like when you're a parent, you basically either have to get up way earlier and put yourself together, or at the day, just like for me, the day starts when the kids wake up, because usually, because the little one doesn't sleep through the night yet. Julie says teenagers.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So I totally get that, how you can, and I do, like my journaling and stuff, but I don't necessarily do it first thing in the morning. And I've been wanting to, and even they say something as simple as like making your bed in the morning sets your intention for the day. Like you've started off your whole entire day with like a success, with a win, And so I feel like if you can implement these 4 simple things, because I mean, really, how long does it take? Not that long. And you get into the routine, then by the time it becomes a habit, you like crave it. You're like, I can't do these other things until I do my, my journaling or writing my reality or my morning focus, whatever you want to call it. And the funny thing is, and not like haha funny, but basically every 6 and 7 figure entrepreneur that I've had contact with and interaction with and spoken to, they do something like this. They have a morning routine. And they do it first. They do it before anything else. Like they, some of them, it's like they got to get in their workout or their meditation or, whatever it is, their journaling, and they don't do anything else. They don't speak to their clients. They don't do anything until those things are done and they're in alignment with themselves and their energy for the day.
And that's what the morning routine, like ebook kind of talks about, is like doing things that fill you up. So for everyone, that's going to be different, right? But if you can't, fill someone else's cup, you can't give that energy out until you have it yourself. So I think it's really important that the first things that you do when you wake up are things that you enjoy, right? Like you wake up first thing, and let's say you enjoy, like for me, it's like getting out of bed, getting a glass of water, like taking my dog on a walk, like reading a book. I don't check my phone first thing, because that is not going to do anything but stress me out. Like, why would you energetically put yourself in a stressed out like mood or like energy right when you wake up in the morning? Like, you're going to be able to serve much better and just enjoy your day better if you do something that makes you happy first thing in the morning.
Right. Especially if you have like a crappy email or something that you're like, oh, this like just set the whole mood for the entire day. Dang it.
Yeah, like I always do gratitudes in the morning, like just simple gratitude lists, like 3 things that I'm grateful for, whether it be like, I'm grateful I live in Orange County, California. Like, I'm just grateful that it's beautiful and sunny outside, right? Or I'm just grateful for, being able to serve 3 clients today on the phone, or like those different things. So that way you start the morning just energetically in a really positive, grateful mood. And then the rest of the day, you're just like, God, I'm so grateful for this. Like you just feel better rather than starting with like, oh, this email that someone wants a refund and they aren't happy, or this email that like someone's like commented something on your Instagram picture. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get like different like negative energies throughout the day. That's just how life works. But if you start in a more positive mood rather than a neutral mood right when you wake up, if you start your day in a positive mood, it takes a lot more to get you down to that negative portion.
Right.
Positive. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can just kind of shake it off a little bit better and go about your day like, whatever, trolls on Instagram, whatever. No, it's so true. It's so true. And that's why I think a lot of people, especially who are like health and fitness coaches, they choose to do their workout. One, it's kind of goes back to that whole thing about, if you've ever read the book, Eat That Frog, kind of goes back to like eating your frog. But even myself, if I work out in the morning, instead of trying to squeeze one in the evening, the day is just better. Like, cause you have that sense of accomplishment. So you've made your bed, you've done your journaling, and you did a workout. Like, all your frogs are eaten. Basically, all you basically have to go do is go enjoy your day and live your life, right?
Totally, I totally agree.
So, yeah. Well, if anybody who's viewing, if you have any questions, now's your chance to pop them in. We'll give you just a minute before we sign off here. But yeah, I'm in total agreement, and I'm so excited about this ebook and about implementing some of these steps even into my own morning routine. I keep this little book with me. It's hard to see it. Anyways, I keep this little book with me, and I write everything in it. I write my reality, write my affirmations, and write little like helpful notes to myself. I keep it where I go. And that's a huge thing. That is, journaling for me is great. It's really helped me with my clarity. And some people are like, oh, writing it down, blah, blah, blah. So some people put it in their notes in their phone or type it out or whatever.
To me, it's a super helpful. Right. Like, I love physically writing things, and my boyfriend always makes fun of me. We're actually moving, and so I have like boxes of notebooks. Like, I'm not going to like I buy journals like every week, and he's like, just use the one that you have. And I'm like, but this one's so cute, and I just love writing in it. I just love writing things down. I don't know what.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a psychological connection to like, writing things. I don't know all of the research on that, so I won't tell you. But you can look it up. But it is like a psychological thing. And that's why a lot of times when you're studying for something, whether you're in high school or college, if you write it down, you can remember it easier. Oh, good morning, April says. So that also makes me think of something. I'm a huge Jim Rohn fan. And in one of his books, he talks about journaling. And he says the most valuable collection in your library will be your journals. And that he's passed on now, but he would talk about how every once in a while he would just go pull one off the shelf and he'd like read through it and become re-inspired about something that he'd written about, 10 years prior. Be like, oh yeah, like all these little nuggets of things that we're going through are things that like could rekindle something for us. So all the books that you're packing and moving to Europe with you guys, give her a round of applause. This girl is moving to Europe and I'm so jealous. They're going to serve you, still later down the road. And I think that's great. I do that as well. So I have, you can't see it here, but I have this shelf above on my desk right here. And there's probably 10 of these little journals because I collect them too. I love them. Okay. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I am not going to hold Karrie up any longer. Let her get to serving her clients and going from there. Oh, Julie says, we're talking about, someone hopped on, giving an ebook about setting your day for a positive momentum and your morning routine. That's exactly it. And we're going to post that in the comments. So everybody feel free to grab that as soon as we do. And that's it, you guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for posting all your beautiful support. And I especially want to thank you, Karrie, for taking the time out of your day to share everything that you've shared with us and inspire so many people. I will talk to you soon, and thank you again.
Bye, guys.